If you're just joining us right now on Star TV, this is Star TV News at 1 with my very self, Sarah Camara. Force Jammeh supporters vow to die as police arrest their leaders during press conference. Police have arrested Jerending Sanyang, one of the officials of former President Yahya Jammeh No Alliance Movement. Jammeh supporters under the banner No Alliance Movement invited reporters to Jerending Sanyang house for a press conference on Monday, but the press was disrupted after police stormed the house and asked Mr. Sanyang to come with them. A reinforcement of riot police fired tear gas at the supporters as Mr. Sanyang was being taken to Banyurinding police station. One supporter told the Fatu network that they are ready to die and they are ready for anything. Another said they needed him at the police station. He told them that he will not go, but was asked him to go. But where has it ever been one need permit to hold a press conference? For us, we are ready to die to see him released. A Kerfatu reporter was also arrested during the incident, but he was later released according to the news outlets. Meanwhile, in another story, United Democratic Party leader Usainu Dabo has appealed to UDP supporters to avoid attacking people's parents and their political leaders. Speaking to a group of UDP supporters from Europe who donated over 200,000 to the party over the weekend, Mr. Dabo said anyone who is the supporter of UDP and is active in the forum or other medium, let them only talk about issues that will promote peace in the country. He said let them not say anything that will be destructive, that could push people into activities that will not be in the country interest. According to Dabo, he said let's not treat anyone with contempt and let's not castigate people's elders. When he said people's elders, he meant people, political leaders and parents. Let's not say nasty things to them as it would appear you are saying it to a political leader or your parents, according to lawyer Usainu Dabo. Meanwhile, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency operative station in the Central River region on Thursday around 1300 hours GMT onwards clocked one Buba Koyate of Brikamaba and Ansumana Kante of Nani Sukuta with five parcels of suspected cannabis sativa. They were apprehended at the Brikamaba Dasilame Johnson. They said Johnson is an area ill-famed for dealing in drugs, open abuse, and other forms of illicit activities. The suspects were also arrested with suspected stolen properties. They were found with 20 mobile phones and Dell laptops. They are presently being investigated by the Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia for possession of prohibited drugs, while the matter involving the suspected stolen properties will be handed over to the police for further investigations. Meanwhile, in other news, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency operative station in West Coast region apprehended one Karamo Damfa, a shopkeeper and a resident of Sukuta Pistin, with 16 parcels and 64 wraps of suspected cannabis sativa. He was arrested at Sukuta Pistin on Friday, 22nd October, around 2100 hours GMT onwards. Karamo Damfa is a shopkeeper who uses his illicit business as a pretext to deal in prohibited drugs. The said suspected drugs were wrapped in white papers and concealed under a blue pillow inside his shop where he equally sells cannabis. He is presently in custody while investigation into the matter continues. In a similar but separate development, one Yaya Cham, a Gambian and a resident of Lamen Kerawan, was also arrested with 6 parcels and 3 wraps of suspected cannabis sativa on the 23rd October 2021 at the Lamen Kerawan. Mohamed Lamindur of Lamen, Babylon, was also arrested on the same day with 5 parcels of suspected cannabis sativa at Lamen, Babylon. In the Upper River region, operative took into custody 3 people for being in possession of a prohibited drug. An alleged child offender residing in Basse, Kabakama, was arrested with 17 wraps of suspected cannabis sativas. Mohamed Bahum, an adult male Gambian residing at Basse Santasu, was also arrested with 17 wraps of suspected cannabis sativa. Ibrahim Kamara, a Bansang Pipeline resident, was arrested at Kegoba in Basse Santasu with 17 wraps of suspected cannabis sativa. All these cases from the Upper River region were registered on the 23rd October. The suspects are in custody while investigation continues. Away from that, Abdoulaye Jallow said he joined NPP to bring development to his people, because with GDC, his people cannot get the development they want. He said he joined NPP with all his supporters. It could be recalled that the Gambia Democratic Congress executive expelled Galle Manda Councillor Abdoulaye Jallow from GDC. The Central Committee of the Gambia Democratic Congress has reached a decision to expel you from the party, GDC told Mr. Jallow in a letter on October 15. The party, in their letter signed by Samba Jallow, also told Mr. Jallow that the party executive have noticed with regret your activities which are found to be detrimental to the aims and objectives of the party. Article 7.3 of the party constitution clearly states that every eligible member of the party must strive to promote the values, aims and objectives of the party. You have failed the party in this regard, the release read. According to the release, they further right to inform him that you are no longer a member of the GDC party and also the representative of the people of Galle Manda Ward in the Janjambure administrative area on the GDC ticket effective from today. Dr. Sabali welcomes Abdoulaye Jallow at the NPP. Still now more news. Vendors at the Serekunda market over the weekend called on NAWEC to stabilize the supply of electricity and water. They raised concerns over constant power failure from NAWEC, which led to the damage of properties and affect businesses within the market. Over the years, the availability of water and electricity has become a major concern to many communities within the country. Speaking to reporters, Aja Sandeng, a vegetable seller, says their business has been badly affected due to the constant NAWEC power failure. She added that it has not only affected their businesses, but also led them to sleepless nights as the struggle for water continues at home. She adds that life has become extremely unpleasant for vendors at the market as they always struggle to freeze their fish. She strongly believes that NAWEC is not doing what is expected from them. The freezing of fish, meat and other vegetables cannot be done in the absence of water and electricity. Ramata Tal, another fish seller, says the challenges caused by the inadequate electricity supply are huge, and she explained. She adds that it has also affected their daily worshipping. Fatu Jang, a fishmonger, called on NAWEC to stabilize the supply of electricity and water. She told this medium that the mechanism they use to preserve their fish to minimize total loss of income. Alaji Jallow, a butcher at Serekunda Market, told this medium that the lack of adequate electricity supply has affected their income earnings. And now onto the international scene, where Nigeria has launched a digital currency called e-Naira. It's hoped to foster economic growth, but there are challenges in its use. Al Jazeera Ahmed Idris reports from Nigeria's capital city of Abuja.
After a 3-week delay, Nigeria's digital currency is now legal tender. At its launch, President Muhammadu Buhari says the e-Naira will usher in opportunities for banks, customers, and the country's economy.
The use of central bank digital currencies can help move away more people and businesses from the informal into the formal sector, thereby creating the tax base of the country. Alongside digital innovations, central bank digital currencies can foster economic growth through better economic activities.
About an hour after the launch, Michael Olalekon downloaded the app but says it didn't work.
One would expect that if a government is rolling out an official platform, one would expect that it's been tried, it's been tested, and it's running so much so that the launch itself would be like the first publicity for it, right? So when I log on after 40 minutes and I'm not getting the access, it gives me some level of concern.
The government hopes this new virtual currency will also improve cross-border trade, expand access to financial services, and increase remittances from a large diaspora base. The central bank says more than 2,000 customers registered within 24 hours of the eNaira platform starting. Not a great start when the banking population is more than 100 million. But officials here expect a rise in the numbers using it in the near future. But experts warn that the central bank must provide confidence for customers. Skepticism and weak infrastructure aren't the only challenges facing the new digital currency. Nigeria's central bank aims to move 10% of monetary transactions to the platform in months to come. Analysts say not all financial institutions would like that.
This is a really threat to the commercial banks, because if you move funds, they already in their custody to this eNaira, it means that this money has gone out of these hands of these commercial banks, and I foresee a situation where commercial bank will do one or two things, perhaps to sabotage this very process.
Almost half the country has no access to bank account. The central bank says this digital currency will change that by drawing millions of Nigerians to banks. But with initial skepticism greeting this launch, it's hard to say if the new digital currency platform will succeed.
The chairman of Sudan ruling body, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has disclosed the transitional government and declared a state of emergency. Al-Burhan has pledged to hold elections as scheduled, but he says the military had a duty to intervene. A number of ministers and civilian officials have been detained, including Prime Minister Abdel Hamdok. Internet and mobile phone services are down, the airport is closed, and the TV and radio headquarters were raided. Soldiers have confronted large numbers of people who have responded to a call to resist the military takeover. According to the Sudanese Doctors Committee, 3 people have died from gunfire. Al Jazeera's Hiba Morgan reports from Khartoum, Sudan.
After months of power struggle with civilian leaders, Sudan's generals have staged a coup and imposed a state of emergency, breaking up a fractured transitional government that has been leading the country.
We dissolve the Sovereign Council and the Cabinet, and we put an end to the mayor's jobs and undersecretaries and the state governors. We'll revise everything and we'll take decisions towards everything.
General Burhan says the military had to intervene to end political infighting. But across Sudan, there's fury. Tens of thousands of men and women converging on the streets to show their anger against the sudden military takeover.
An urgent call to all Sudanese civilians who want to protect the revolution. What the military is doing is a betrayal to all citizens on all fronts. It is the duty of all civilians to move and to block all roads outside to prevent any military force to move. Right now, all of us must unite to show the truth.
The return of the old regime is impossible. No matter what the excuse is or the justifications, the return is impossible. This is the first statement of the people. Women and men are refusing any kind of fraud on democracy and civil society.
The military has arrested several civilian members of the transitional government and moved Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok to an undisclosed location, prompting global concerns.
The EU is very concerned about Sudan's military forces reportedly putting Prime Minister Hamdok under house arrest, and as well as detaining other members of the civilian leadership, and we urge for their fast release.
In Sudan, the pro-democracy forces of Freedom and Change Coalition, born out of the 2018 uprising that ousted longtime leader Omar al-Bashir, has called for protests and strikes to resist the coup. Divisions between the military and civilian sides of the transitional government widened after last month's failed coup attempt by forces loyal to Bashir. Both sides blame each other for slow reforms, a worsening economic crisis, poverty and corruption. While the move has angered many, some have celebrated the news of the military takeover. For more than a week, a group of political parties have been staging a sit-in in front of the presidential palace, urging the military to dissolve the government. They've accused the central body of the Forces of Freedom and Change coalition of not including all those who took part in the 2018 uprising in the government. That sit-in played a major role in the military takeover.
The military have been key to creating the conditions for this discord and security, and certainly in Congress too, given that Burhan is, in many ways, ostensibly head of state in this hybrid transitional arrangement, and those who have been part of this movement to push the government out are themselves key members of government. So any criticism of government performance is very much self-criticism.
The hard-won gains of the pro-democracy uprising have not led to the reforms many people fought for. And now, with more political upheaval, the nation is once again on the edge.
More than 2 months since chaotic evacuation from Kabul International Airport after the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan, things are slowly returning to something closer to normal. The airport is open to aid deliveries as well as a few chartered planes and evacuation flights. An allied unit of the Taliban is now in charge of securing the airport. Al Jazeera's Stefan Decker had exclusive access to the special forces known as Battery 313.
Patrolling Kabul's international airport, the Battery 313, a special unit of the Taliban, they don't look like your traditional Taliban fighter.
How did the Badris get selected?
Yeah.
Who are they?
The most important conditions. Number one, they are Afghans. No one from any other country can be part of Badri. Number two, they are Muslims, of course. And number three, they are healthy, strong, and of course the most important is to be a martyrdom seeker.
The unit's members have been responsible for some of the deadliest attacks against US and NATO forces and the Afghan National Army during years of conflict. Battery 313 is seen as one of the most elite and hardcore units of the Taliban.
Yeah, we can go. We can go.
We were given rare access to them at Kabul airport. It is the only part of the capital where it's being deployed, we're told.
One of the things that distinguishes the Badri 313 visually from other Taliban fighters is their uniforms, also wearing American accessories like sunglasses, face masks and night vision goggles. This is also part of a PR change, moving away from the idea of being an insurgency and being a very well-trained official security arm of the state.
We meet the airport commander, Mohammed Salim Saad, is in charge of the Battery 313 while it's securing the airport.
The airport represents the whole country. It's the most important point to show that our country is functioning, has security and flights are operational. So to maintain this, we needed a loyal and well-trained unit. The troops that are stationed here are the suicide unit of the Battery 313. And whenever the security situation becomes more stable, they will go back to their camps, and the previous government's police force will come back and maintain the security.
The job of Battery 313 is getting started from here, securing the main entrance, the front door, and making safe environment for those who are going through their way inside the airport.
Because a concern is car bombs.
Yeah, of course, such kind of concern. It still exists, and we cannot ignore that professionally we are to control what's going on here. You see here, they are checking the people who are getting inside. Just the driver is being checked here. Other people are checked inside. Inside there is a body check.
There remains mistrust between the people and the Taliban. For many Afghans, years of conflict are not easy to forget.
Our message to our countrymen is don't fear the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan. The 20-year fight was to defend your rights. We are not your enemies. We are your friends. We will secure your life and your belongings.
On the streets of the capital, we want to get a sense of how people see them.
Security is better than before, but work and the economy are in a very bad state. I'm asking the world, why have they blocked Afghanistan's money? It's not the Taliban's or ISIL's, it's the money of the Afghans. They need to release it.
They say they'll ensure our security, but they can't, because there's no work, no jobs. People are exhausted. They can't ensure security like this.
It is one thing to talk about change, to give assurances that things will be different from the past. But after decades of conflict, it will take time for trust between Afghans to be rebuilt. Stephanie Decker, Al Jazeera.
Before we end the news, a recap of the main headlines. Jammeh supporters vow to die as police arrest their leader during press conference. Dabo enjoins UDP supporters to avoid attacking people's parents and political leaders. Suspected drug dealers arrested with a laptop and mobile phones. SAC GDC Councillor for Galemanda Ward, Upper Fuladu joins NPP. Vendors speak as power shortage hits nation. Nigeria becomes the first African nation to roll out digital currency. Sudan military seized power in court, arrest civilian leaders. The Taliban brigade patrolling Kabul airport. That's all for this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news at 1. Thank you.